even though he was married and blah blah blah. And you didn't know, and like
the
2 weeks
perception is
later,
you got tricked.
Yeah. Would you consider that a homosexual act that you did?
So I think that these things are based around intentionality. So the idea that you could be tricked, right, or in some way be moved to do things, or the idea that you know, you can be pushed into doing a sexual. So, like, I'll give you an example, a good counterexample. I have to be very careful with how I use this language, but underage people, right? They can be tricked into feeling pleasure at certain of these things, right? This is all bad, though. You and I would agree that this is all bad. It's not a determination of their sexuality, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
How come?
But that's not.
How come?
How come? Like, okay, I need more information because that was very vague. So I don't
have to be vague.
know what you're saying.
Okay, I gotta move away from that.
Okay,
but the thing
then
is,
we can talk about it after.
But the principle here is very simple, right?
So you wouldn't consider it...
a person being tricked, right? They're being tricked. This can happen to anybody. You can be tricked in all sorts of different ways. It's not going to be a determination, though, as to whether or not you're actually attracted to men or women. You have a perception. It'd be no different than if I gave you drugs. What if I gave you drugs and then, you know, your brain was frying and you perceive that a horse was a woman? Does that mean that if you banged the horse, that means that you are attracted to horses?
But like, no, because you're under the influence and you can't make cognitive functions. Word and then
I'm actually really intrigued by this. I want to question.
Because all I'm saying is, would you consider that still, because that person isn't a female? Would you consider that a homosexual act after the fact, after knowing that they're...
Yeah, so that would, the act itself would be a homosexual act.
Okay, that's all I was asking.
Sure.
I just wanted to see your clarification on it.
Of course, it would be a homosexual act.
Because like, I was like, what if a guy's like,
however,
I hate black chicks, I would never be attracted
that doesn't
to one.
mean...
It's not the same.
Yeah, right, but that doesn't mean... Actually, that makes my point. You could be tricked even in that aspect. So the idea here is like what all Brian's trying to say, he's trying to distinguish between the act... Right? Here.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So he's just saying, here's our act, and here's not our act. So would that be engaging in a homosexual act? Oh yeah, for sure. Nobody would dispute that is true, right? Would that make the person a homosexual though? Right? I don't think so.
No.
For instance, a good example of this: you're in prison, you're coerced, right?
Well, that's a whole other issue.
But it's a homosexual act, right? But does that make you a homosexual?
Exactly.
It depends on if you're the giving or the receiving.
The receiver.
Honestly. Okay.
No,
of
course not. Of course. That's all we're arguing here is that makes you a victim here as well. It's a form of coercion, trickery. That's the whole point.
I can partially agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I said I do.
King One Up donated $200. Kiko, if you think transmissions are woman, then I feel sorry for you. Listen to the IDF Queen. Questions to panel: would you not be mad if you found out you slept with a fraud gender?
Wouldn't be mad if you
If
slept with somebody who
that's all
didn't
you got out of what I was saying, then
well,
I'm doing.
I'll make it super easy, right?
Like I understand.
Your brother knows he's your brother. You don't know he's your brother. He sleeps with you. Are you upset?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's incest.
Why? Why are you mad though?
Because that's incest.
What if he tells you? What if he tells you though?
No.
I'm sterilized. I can't get you pregnant. So you're saying you're attracted to your own brother, you incestuous lunatic, right? Like, does that even make sense?
It's proving your point.
That's a very, very broad, like, separate discussion.
What's broad and separate about it? Do you feel like you're tricked?
Yes, because I didn't know and he did.
Exactly.
Right, there you go.
I never. Don't look at me because you're arguing with her. Because I've already said that discretion is the biggest part of it. Discretion versus what if it's gay or not.
I looked at you because you have a beautiful nose. Got nothing to do with the conversation.
Yeah, but my point is that you want that disclosed. Because of how it would make
I never
you
said that
feel.
You shouldn't disclose it.
Right.
I never said.
But you only want it disclosed because how it would make you feel.
Always sorry.
Like if he's sterile, what's actually wrong with this?
Exactly.
Except how you feel.
Exactly. Thank you.
And I guess how society feels about it.
How you feel.
Exactly.
Society would.
Who informs your feelings?
Exactly. Society.
Sure. Yes.
So I mean, you're kind of making my point for me here. I did want to get to. I did want to just have a quick back and forth exchange with you.
Once she's back.
Ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I just add something small quickly before we wrap this? To say to
just
the audience?
Take the W, lady. Take the W.
To the audience.
30 seconds. Go.
I wanted to say that I have nothing against transgenders or gays. The problem starts when becoming somebody naturally feel like he's a woman to a massive every single kid, like from each school you see so many kids are changing. Kids want to be animals, kids want to be gays. What's the next step? People
too much. You're good. You're good. Yeah, I know.
She on fucking TOS?
No, she didn't say actually any words.
That close.
She didn't say any words.
God, bro.
We gotta
she
move
didn't
it off
say
that.
any words.
I didn't say
So
anything.
I think
It just
more.
doesn't-
No, you don't understand. You just don't know. Like,
I
know
think
what you
more
know.
people are coming out as gay and trans because
Oh my
it's
God,
a
no.
safer
Well,
area.
that's fine. She's fine.
no. I'm moving on. I have
right.
to fucking move off of this
All right.
bullshit, bro. Holy
can I-
fuck. No.
Can I engage
No,
over
let me,
here?
let me
This
get
has
through.
nothing to
I
do
gotta
with
get
that.
through my shit.
All right. Nothing to do with that, though, Brian.
I
Has
don't
nothing
care.
to
I do not care. Frank Castle, he says, it feels like deja vu tonight. Kiko, next to Gorlock the Destroyer 2.0. School, education doesn't mean intelligence. Kiko, oh my God, bro.
You gotta chill, Brian.
Okay, Rage Quit Countdown. Hold on. Go ahead, have the comment.
All right.
Oh my God.
So this is so this is something that I do often.
Rage quit.
I do often wonder. He'll be all right. Brian will be all right. Something I do often wonder when I talk to spiritualists who make the claim that they can speak to animals, or at least communicate with animals. There's a couple of questions that I have for you.
Okay.
Can animals convey concepts to you, things that they want?
For example, they say, I want my owner to take me out more. Yes.
They can convey those concepts.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Serious?
So this is an honest to God question. It's going to sound very strange, okay? But I really need to know the answer to this. If an animal conveyed through a spiritualist that it wanted to have sex with a person, how would that then be a problem to have sex with that animal?
I don't grasp the question. I'm not.
So an animal conveys. So the big problem with bestiality, and it's a
Okay.
big problem,
Okay.
right, is that the animal can't consent. But as you as the medium, the animal could actually consent. So how would that even be a problem then?
They don't know what they're consenting to.
No, they do, because they can tell her.
If she
Let
could
her
read a
answer, let her
13-year-old's
answer, let her
mind and
answer,
say, I want to
Kiko.
sleep with Ashton
Let her
Kutcher.
answer, sisterhood.
said she talked to
Calm
them.
this sisterhood down. Just let her answer. I got to know the answer to this.
Technically, there is no problem.
Oh my
Wrong
God.
answer.
I think maybe you would have the ethical duty to just like not say that.
Be the middleman and be like,
Yeah.
explain to them why
Because
that's
you're the
not
only
okay.
one who knows.
If that's what you believe
Who
in.
knows
but-
what?
Well,
Because like, if,
because she's the medium who has the knowledge of what the animal is asking for.
But the animal wants it.
Okay, but
When I was
then
14,
you have,
I
you
wanted
have
to
an
sleep with Ashton
ethical
Kutcher.
duty
Should've
to
known.
like not.
I'm sorry, I don't think
Express
she's a
that.
medium. I think it's.
well, that's we're playing into it though. We're not. That's
I mean,
besides the
For me,
point.
it's
We're just.
bullshit.
But even if it's not,
that's what
then
it's a debate. We're
then
just
it could be
discussing
that the medium should have an ethical
Yeah.
obligation to like not disclose that because they're the only
Why?
one. Because they're the one.
But
who
that's
can
what the animal
communicate.
wants.
Exactly.
But why is the?
That doesn't mean
as
the
a little
person
girl,
wants it.
I wanted to sleep with Justin
Exactly, that's what
Bieber.
the
But
animal
I
wait.
wanted to-
The person, let's say in this situation, the person wants it and wants to know if the animal wants it, so hires the medium. The medium, stop. The medium comes out and says, I've talked to the animal. Green light. What's the problem here?
It's an animal.
And so the person.
Wait. I get that, right? We're assuming that this is true. She can speak to animals. So if we take the objection, the moral objection, the animal can't communicate this with anybody, and they can't, right? But now they can. This is Dr. Doolittle shit here, okay? This is some Dr. Doolittle shit. The raccoon can tell you what it wants for fucking dinner now. So the animal says, the animal's like, man,
I feel like we
stop,
are-
Kiko. Let me ask the question before you answer the question. Let me at least ask it first. So, bam, the animal's like, this is what I want, medium. Medium goes to the owner, and it's like, that's what it wants, right? What's the actual problem here? Unless you're saying this whole communication thing can't be possible.
Just because you want something doesn't mean it's right. Just because I'm gonna use words lightly here. I'm gonna try to go around. Just because an underage person might say,
what does that have to do with anything we're talking about?
Because you're talking about how, because if they're vocalizing the point that they want that, even though as a society we deem that as wrong, if they can speak up for themselves and say, no, that's what I want to do, just because someone who's not of the legal consent age says I want to do this, doesn't make it right for that person
makes no
to do
sense.
it.
The animal's fully grown in this instance. It goes around and like fucking murders like hyenas and shit. Even if it can do what it wants, man.
Even if someone underage murders kids, it doesn't make them right to do those things.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
You're talking about consent.
Okay,
we forget that bestiality is a thing.
Why can an animal consent to another then?
Because they're both animals. They're both in the same playing field.
What makes that okay then?
It's the same thing why an underage kid can consent to another
if
underage
an animal
kid.
Can consent,
They're on the same playing field.
Kiko, here's the whole. It's very simple. If an animal can consent to an animal, if an animal could consent to an animal, why couldn't it consent to you?
Because we have different communication.
Stop. Fuck. Listen, when you're having a conversation with somebody, this is what drives fucking Brian bonkers. I get it, right? I get that there's a sisterhood, right? Everybody wants to jump in on behalf of somebody else. I've given you nothing but respect when it comes to these conversations. Listen to exactly what you, the person, is saying, not the person next to you, right? Let them answer the question. I'll do the same thing for you. Kiko, if an animal can consent to another animal, why couldn't it consent to you?
Because I'm not that animal. I don't speak the same language they do.
That has nothing to do with anything. What would that have to do with anything? If the animal can consent, it can consent. If it can consent to another dog, why couldn't it consent to you? And if you had a medium who came out and was like, it's consenting, then isn't the medium, wouldn't you just have to err on the fact that you think the medium isn't really a medium?
Well, that's a whole different point. I would agree with that. That's a whole different thing. That I was trying to be nuanced about it and have a conversation, debate about it. But if you want to take it there, those are two different things. I don't think any of that's real. But I was just talking about the fact that two people on the same playing field can consent to each other doesn't mean it's fair game for everybody. Like 2 16-year-olds can consent together doesn't mean a 16-year-old and 19-year-old can consent together.
I don't think 2 16-year-olds can consent together.
Well, I do. And that's a difference of opinion.
Do you think 2 12-year-olds could?
I don't think it's right, but I don't think one of them should be in trouble for it. No.
What?
If two, you're telling me
sexually?
So you're We're
saying that they can't. They can't. The whole point here is the reason we have those laws is because we don't think they can.
Okay, but
and if they do,
what happens if they do?
Then you're still saying the same.
Nothing happens, right? Yeah. Nothing happens.
You're still saying the same thing though. You're still saying
no, I'm not.
They're not capable of consent. That's what makes it wrong. So the thing is like ultimately here, if an animal can consent to an animal, you're saying it's right that an animal can do that. So if that's the case, if a medium comes in and says, well, the animal consents to you, then the only thing you could really say is that the medium was wrong, right?
No. First, you can say mediums are bullshit. That's the first thing you should say. Secondly, you shouldn't be talking about my dog wanting to sleep with me anyways. Like, why were we even, like, if you want to...
Do you know why?
I'm trying to have this conversation, but then you guys keep piggybacking off of those concepts. If you want to think those things, then I will agree. Yeah, I would never even be having this conversation, but you guys were feeding into it, so I was feeding into it too. So don't make it seem like I'm trying to have this conversation when it's not something I would ever even talk about.
Like you're defending this thing.
Okay, thank you.
All I'm trying to do is show you a parallel. So the parallel is, for the psychic medium, the person who's the shaman, the person who is the witch, the person who is this thing, if they make the great claim of communication, I can communicate with this thing that you yourself can't communicate with, it's fair to test it, right? Yeah. Isn't it fair to test if they could really communicate? So isn't it a great way to test that, to ask it a question like that? Ask them a question like that.
See, my mind would never even go to ask a question.
Why not?
Like that. Because that's fucking weird.
Because it brings...
That's why.
But the thing is it brings up this great parallel that you can point to immediately and say, even if it were true, wouldn't we still have to err on the fact it wasn't?
See, I can't even go into those because when you ask me something like that, all my mind's going to go to is I would never go and ask a medium if my dog wants to fuck me. Like, that's what my mind is going towards. So I'm sorry, I can't get past that part.
You're not asking the medium if your dog wants to fuck you. You're asking the medium. You're asking the medium if the person says that the animal can consent to any person. It doesn't have to be you. Why does it have to be you specifically?
Well, if a medium told me that my dog is consenting for this, that, and third to happen, first of all, whatever.
There we go.
But
now we're getting somewhere.
If they, it's so hard to say this though because they'd be like, "Why are you at the medium?" But I would say you're full of shit. Like,
right.
You're delusional.
Exactly.
Yes.
But that's what I'm saying though. I would say this, but I thought we were giving in to this whole concept. But when you ask me questions like that,
hang on. And Kiko, and what does she say? There would be no problem.
And that's why I jumped in because I was like, "You're delusional." That's why I jumped in, Andrew, is because
I was testing the delusion,
okay.
Kiko.
Maybe I feel like we're maybe fighting the same evil right now. I don't know, but it's really, really common sense to me. Like, I don't know how else to say.
You would think. So I gotta go back to this, right? Why couldn't the animal? Like, honestly, could you get consent from the animal for something like that?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna go out and smoke.
Honestly,
It doesn't mean you should.
Like, hey, what if they substitute animal
Say.
with
I have to be
BABY?
honest and say something.
like? Do you see like how that's like you're just?
Well, those are two different entities.
But you're talking about You're talking about living
Nope.
things that can't communicate. Living things that can't communicate without other entities. So if they were like, I want you to speak with my baby to me, and you're like, oh, this is what I'm reading. Like, I want to see how you guys tread. I used to do the same thing when I got into this podcast, and sometimes you have to just own up to when you're wrong. Because I would double down and I would look stupid. I will own up. I would look stupid because I would double down on my own opinions, but recognize when no, like that's not okay. Like I could be 15 years old and you could be reading my mind and I could be saying, yeah, I want to sleep with this celebrity and this guy. Does it make it right? Does it mean that they should go then ahead and do it? So just realize the words you're saying, and
those are two different entities still.
They're not.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
So when you say that you could do it, but would you do it?
Ask the question again.
So
I
like,
don't
okay,
understand.
so say that like you're trying to get consent from an animal. Would you do that? In those kind of, would you do it willingly? If someone came in and said, "Hey, I'm trying to get consent for my dog," I know you were able to do it, but would you do it?
I'd have to sit with myself and see how I feel about it, and also tune into my highest self and see whether I'm in alignment with that, because I am just a medium at the end. I'm not.
But do you understand how the fact that you even consider it means that you have the possibility of saying you're open to it, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Which means that you could telepathically, whatever, communicate with this dog. And if that dog was saying, yes, this is what I want, you would go tell their owner that? That's crazy. That's wrong. And I think that deserves jail time. I'm on your side with a lot of things, but that's not okay.
That's your judgment, and
It's
I
not my
respect
judgment.
that.
That's the law.
It's not
That's
about
actually the law. Because if
fine.
they took your advice and went and did it and got caught, they
I
would
don't
be in
give
jail.
advice.
It's not.
I don't give advice.
What do you think you do?
That's the final word on
Graffito
that.
tagged donated $200.
What do you think people
Hold
are
on.
going to you for?
Hold on.
Okay, Andrew, I'm convinced the woman and animal could both consent. The reason it's still wrong is because it's an affront to God's moral law, it's unnatural, and is done purely for gratification.
Yo, Graffito Tag, thank you for the TTS. W's in the chat for Graffito. We do appreciate your message. I need to move things on from here. So, Robert Tanner, thank you for the gifted 20 memberships. Do appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. W's in the chat for Robert. Robert, he also says, this seems to be an argument between objective versus subjective reality. Objective based on facts and absolute truths. Subjective based on feelings and opinions. If I feel I am the age of 20, must society accept? This is for you guys.
My previous question.
If you feel like you're 20, must society accept? That's the question.
Yes.
I'd say no, because that's not how many years you've been alive and have had experiences.
How is that different from what we argued before? That a man is not a woman. It's exactly the same question.
If you're biologically the age of 40, you're also biologically female or male.
Or male, exactly.
Biologically, yes, I agree.
So you agree that a man that changed his gender, he's not a woman.
So you're changing your biology, though.
Thank you, Robert.
But here I'm changing my biology too. If I'm 50 or 40 and I'm decided that I'm 23 or 22, I'm changing my biology. I can put it in my ID. Imagine if it was the law. Let's say it was a law now that I look young, I feel young, my sexual urge is here, I have a cool head, I go out, I party, I feel like I'm 23. What's the difference? I can go and change my age and
How
everything.
many
What's
years
the
have you
difference?
paid taxes? How many children have you had?
How many do you have
how
eggs
old
to
are
have
your children?
kids? How many?
Yeah.
You have your period. It's exactly the same. It's the
There's
same
a
argument.
lot of different factors. You can say that you feel 20, but
It's a lot of different factors. You're repeating exactly for a different thing. It's a lot of different factors. For me as the woman,
I agree with that.
One
for
second.
trans folks
Let me
There's
finish.
a lot of different
Let
factors.
me finish. As a woman, I'm a woman. As a woman, for me, it's completely disrespect when other men come and take what I've been through as a woman, having my period, having my mood swings, feeling down because of my hormones, having my child with no epidural in extreme pain 17 hours in the labor room. For me as a woman, it's disrespectful that a man can just come and take that woman and be the woman of the year after I hear that it's not even a woman.
Okay.
For me, it's completely, and I don't understand how for you as a woman, it's not disrespectful. Imagine that somebody would take your place.
You
for
have
me,
30 seconds to respond. Go
Okay,
ahead.
one,
And that's it.
I don't feel like it's taking my place. Two, having a period or birthing a child is not a woman experience. It is, but
me?
not everybody goes through that. No, not everybody chooses
majority
to do
of
that.
women.
Nope. Okay, cool. All right, Pelagic, thank you for the $100 soup chat. The moment of weakness, allowing others to control your emotions. This is obviously directed at me. Thank you, Pelagic. Appreciate the soup chat. Look, I mean, people can't fuck